Hello everyone, welcome to the chapters and welcome to another important current affairs weekly revision session in which we are going to cover the first week of March 2026. And my dear friends, you can see here on my screen that we are having the document of 1st to 11th of March 2026. I believe that your preparations are really going well. You guys are really done with the important current affairs of the month of March 2026. The month of April 2026, and today we will be covering the important part for the month of March 2026, right? So please give me a thumbs up in the chat box if I am audible and visible to all of you so that we can start with the today's session. So good evening Kashish, Harshal, Kavya, Shruti, Upasna and all the people who have joined us live today in this session. My dear friends, so today's session is going to be a very important one because we are basically focusing on the very important month, that is the month of March 2026. So I'm waiting for a response in the chat box. Please give me a thumbs up in the chat box if everything is good and we are good to go. So today we are having the subject as 1st to 11th of March 2026. So my dear friends, till now let me tell you that we have conducted the revision of April 2026, right? And we have basically taken 8 classes for that, covering every week in 2 classes. That means around and around there is a 24 hours of comprehensive learning that is available to all of you on the YouTube channel. And I don't think that anytime you must have seen that so much amount of learning hours have been provided for a particular month, right? So we are trying to cover each and everything in our sessions in a very comprehensive manner from the examination point of view, so that you are good to go with the class, you are good to go with the examination. We are not just covering here the important part, we are revising them, we are retaining them, and we are ensuring that you are properly understanding all the news articles from examination point of view. So thank you so much for giving me your thumbs up that yes, everything is good to go and we can start our today's session. So my dear friends, again I would like to recommend you that please ensure that see the April month is already covered, but the month of May we are already covering in the daily 8 a.m. classes. If you are not following them, please start following them because these will be the classes which will be helpful for your May 2026 current affairs for the RBI Grade B officer exam 2026, right? So today we will be covering the 1st to 11th of March 2026, and today is the part 1 of the first week of the month of March, and this is basically the document that you can see here, right? So today we will be covering the part 1 of this particular class, and let's start. So here the first news article is Jan Aushadhi Saptah 2026 begins, and thank you again for giving me all the response in the chat box that yes, everything is going good and we are ready for the session. Thank you my dear friends. So now the first article is Jan Aushadhi Saptah 2026 begins. So my dear friends, Jan Aushadhi Saptah 2026 commences with health checkup camps organized across the country, and we are basically setting it up as a part of week-long celebrations to the 8th Jan Aushadhi Divas on 7th of March. Now my dear friends, why exactly we celebrate the Jan Aushadhi Divas? So every year we observe Jan Aushadhi Divas to promote the use of generic medicines and spread awareness about the Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. Now why exactly, what was the need of the scheme? Let me give you an example my dear friends, that there is a, let's take an example that there is a copy, right, which you need to practice questions, right? This is a copy 1 and this is a copy 2. The quality, number of pages and the size of that copy is quite same, but there is only one difference, that the copy number 1 is basically having a brand on it. Let's take an example, classmate. And the copy number 2, which is having all the things similar, but it is not having that brand, it is some local copy. When a student goes to purchase this copy, so basically he has to pay rupees 50. This copy is available at rupees 50 and the copy number 2 is just available at rupees 20. So why exactly the students are forced to pay rupees 50 for that copy when they can already afford the local copy which is available at rupees 20, right? As we have already seen that everything is same, just the brand name is missing on the copy number 2. Let me tell you my dear friends, now let's try to understand it with the help of an example of the medicines. You know what, there are so many medicines which are branded medicines with the proper marketing and the packaging, right? And then there are some generic medicines which are having the active ingredient as the same, which was that of the medicine which has been branded and marketed by a established company. So the working of both the medicines is quite same, everything is same, but the medicine price of the branded medicine is quite higher as compared to the generic medicine. So what happens is that there are so many people who are not having that much amount of money that they can afford these branded medicines. So sometimes the people think that okay, let's not purchase the medicines, and they basically take a big risk over their health. So that is why, my dear friends, government of India just thought that we cannot deny the basic right of the person to get the medicine at a good rate at which the person can basically go with the treatment for that particular disease. And that's why the government of India came up with a scheme, Jan Aushadhi, Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. Are you guys able to understand this? So basically, to make people aware about the Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana, in which government of India basically focuses on the promotion of the generic medicines. So that's why these camps are organized by the Pharmaceuticals and Medical Devices Bureau under the Department of Pharmaceuticals, Ministry of Chemical and Fertilizers. Now what is the theme for this year? The theme for this year is Jan Aushadhi, Sasti bhi, Bharosemand bhi, Sehat ki baat bachat ke saath. See guys, Jan Aushadhi, we are talking about the generic medicines. These are quite cheap, right? They are available at low price and they are basically reliable also. They are bharosemand also. And Sehat ki baat bachat ke saath. So they are healthy and they are also pocket friendly as well, right? So everything is quite clear. Jan Aushadhi, Sasti bhi, Bharosemand bhi, Sehat ki baat bachat ke saath. Absolutely right. This is the theme for this particular scheme, for this particular Jan Aushadhi Divas for the year 2026, which we celebrate every year on 7th of March. Now guys, we are really required to cover the Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana because this scheme was just in the news article, because we are spreading awareness about the scheme on the 8th Jan Aushadhi Divas. Now originally the scheme was launched in 2008 with the name Jan Aushadhi Scheme, but later down the time what we had done is that we have basically renamed the scheme. So this scheme is implemented by Department of Pharmaceuticals under the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. It is implemented through the Pharmaceutical and Medical Devices Board of India to provide affordable and quality generic medicines through Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Kendras. So my dear friends, we have basically created such kind of shops where you can get these generic medicines, and these are called Jan Aushadhi Kendras, right? So we can get these affordable quality generic medicines from the Jan Aushadhi Kendras, which are basically having the proper work and the same kind of quality that those branded marketed medicines were available in the market at a very high price, right? So they are available at a much lower prices compared to the branded medicines, and more than 18,000 Jan Aushadhi Kendras are currently operational in our country, and we are having the target that by 31st March 2027 we will be having 25,000 Kendras. Okay, so what is the number that we will be having by 31st March 2027? That is 25,000 Kendras. So now I would like to ask all of you some questions, and all of you are required to give me the answer in the chat box, right? Are you guys ready for the questions? Now please tell me on which date we celebrate the Jan Aushadhi Divas. The Jan Aushadhi Divas has been celebrated on 7th of March. Absolutely right. What is the aim? The aim is basically to spread awareness about which scheme? Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. Now this comes under which ministry? Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. What is the theme of the day for this year? Jan Aushadhi, Sasti bhi, Bharosemand bhi, Sehat ki baat bachat ke saath. Absolutely right. When it comes to the scheme, in which year the scheme was launched? In 2008 it was launched. Jan Aushadhi scheme was launched in 2008, implemented by Department of Pharmaceuticals and implemented through PMBI, that is Pharmaceutical and Medical Devices Board of India. The aim is to provide affordable and quality generic medicines. What is the target? By 31st March 2027, how many Jan Aushadhi Kendras will be there? There will be 25,000 Kendras. Absolutely right. All of you. So I can see here Harshal, ABC, Mikavya, Pratyush, Kashish, Material Share, Upasna, Kavya, and all the people have given me the right answer to all these questions that I have asked you. Well done, my dear friends. Now let's move ahead. And here is basically the Drishyam round PDF I am having, right? Let's try to answer the questions here. Now let's try to answer the question here. Let me switch on the annotations. Okay. Now please quickly tell me in the chat box on which date we celebrated. We celebrated on 7th of March, the 8th Jan Aushadhi Divas, and spread awareness about which scheme? Pradhan Mantri Bhartiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. Absolutely right. What is the theme? Jan Aushadhi Sasti bhi, right? भरोसेमंद भी, सेहत के साथ बचत का साथ, right? So this was the theme. Now it was originally launched as Jan Aushadhi scheme in which year? 2008. Implemented by Department of Pharmaceuticals, implemented through PMBI. We have already covered. Now what is the target of the number of Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Kendras by 31st March 2027? That is 25,000 Kendras. Absolutely right. Anybody who is still there, who is not able to understand this particular article, the scheme and what we have covered, please tell me in the chat box. Any single person who is not able to retain this information. See my dear friends, in this session we are going to cover all these important things from the examination point of view, right? This is the part 1 of the month of March. Month of March is really very important to be covered from examination point of view. And today we have started with the 1st to 10th of March. Let me see. In just the span of 2 sessions, we will be able to cover the 10 days of the month of March 2026. A big win for all of you. Now let's move on to the next part. Now let's move on to the next news article. That is eligible manufacturer importer scheme. My dear friends, this is a eligible manufacturer importer scheme. See, let's take an example. Whenever we want to import a product into our country or we want to export a product outside the country, right? We have to pay custom duty. We have to pay some taxes which are called custom duties, right? Whenever we are promoting, whenever we are basically, exporting or importing any product. So ABC is asking, sir, do we need to study PMJBP scheme also now as it was in the news? See, it was not in the news in a very comprehensive manner. It was only because the name of the scheme was mentioned in the news article, right? With respect to the Jan Aushadhi Divas. So that is why we have only covered the scheme in a very brief part. But if the scheme was there in the news article in a very detailed manner, right, then definitely we would have discussed the scheme across all the dimensions, across all the important parameters of the scheme, across all the important features of the scheme. Clear? So basically we have to focus only on those schemes in the detailed manner, which schemes were completely in the news articles with all the details mentioned in the news articles, right? Or any scheme which has basically got an update or a modification, or its tenure has been extended, or the target has been changed, then only we are required to cover that scheme in a detailed manner, right? Otherwise you will end up covering 200 of the schemes which are there in the news articles like this. But again, when we see the cost benefit analysis, you will see that you will end up covering all those schemes, wasting a lot of time. In the meantime, you could have done something else which could have fetched you more marks in the examination. Clear? So considering this only, and as per the previous year examination trends, we are conducting these sessions and we have created these documents. Okay, ABC and all the people, I hope that this part is clear. Now we were onto the eligible manufacturer importer scheme, right? So now my dear friends, as I told you that whenever we are importing any product, exporting any product, we need to pay the custom duty. So earlier what was the rule? That when you are getting the clearance of the goods while importing or exporting, you have to pay the custom duty. Only then you will be getting the products. But now, guys, that sometimes what happens is that, there is a Kiryana shop in our locality, and that Kiryana store wala bhaiya knows everything about our family, right? From where we come. And we are having a good relations with that, Kiryana store. So basically, whenever you go to that Kiryana store, even you are not having the money, the bhaiya says that, okay, please take the product, you can pay the amount later, don't worry about it, right? So basically, why this is happening? Because our family has been trusted, because we are having a good track record of paying back the money, right? Do you guys agree with me? So we are having the good track record of paying back the money. Similarly, my dear friends, when there are some importers or exporters who are involved in the international trade, and they are having a good track record. They are having a good track record of paying the customs duty always on time. So these are called trusted importers or exporters, right? And that is why even our administration says that now, okay, see, don't worry, you are not required to pay the custom duty right now. What you can do, you can just take the goods, right? Don't worry, you can pay the custom duty on the month end. You can pay the custom duty on the month end. So basically, why? Because these are trusted importers or exporters. They are having good track record. This will not be for the people who are not having a good track record, right? Because such kind of people will be, thrown away from the shop. Either you pay the money or you can just go to the another shop, right? But we cannot provide you that kind of facility of credit based products, right? So basically this is only for the trusted people, for the trusted importers or exporters. Now let me tell you guys about the eligible manufacturer importer scheme. So those importers who are trusted ones, now the administration has said that you can import the products, you can get the clearance of the goods, and right now you are not required to pay the custom duty immediately. You can pay the custom duty on the month end. Clear? Understood, my dear friends? So the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs introduced the eligible manufacturer importer scheme, and as it was announced in budget of 26-27, it allows eligible manufacturer importers to clear imported goods without paying custom duty. See guys, without paying custom duty at the time of clearance, with the duty payable later on a monthly basis. You can pay it on a monthly basis under the deferred payment of import duty rules 2016. Under the deferred payment basically means we are not providing any kind of subsidy, and we are not waiving off the customs duty. We are just saying that you can right now take the goods, right? You can sell the goods, but at the month end, please make sure that you are paying the customs duty so that our trust remains there. Clear to everyone? So that's what the CBIC says. So we are having the deferred payment of the import duty rules 2016. Now what is the custom duty? I already told you, it is a tax imposed by the government on goods that are imported into or exported from a country. Now this EMI facility will be available for a period from 1st April 2026 to 31st March 2028. Right? 1st April 2026 to 31st March 2028. The scheme is designed as a trust-based custom facilitation measure to improve cash flow, promote compliance, support domestic manufacturing, enhance ease of doing business. See guys, if I am getting such kind of flexibility that I can pay back the custom duty later after some time, so what will happen? I will be having some better cash flows now, that okay, the amount that I was going to pay right now in the customs duty, it would have blocked some amount of my account, right? So what now is happening? I can invest that amount in expanding my business, and later at the month end when I will be getting the money from selling these products, I will be getting some amount and I will be paying the custom duty. So that's how it is enhancing the ease of doing business for me, right? And it is also somehow as a goodwill, and to create that trust, to maintain that trust, it is also kind of imposing me that okay, Devanshu, you have to ensure that you are complying with all the rules and regulations of the CBIC related to the customs duty, right? Only then the trust will be remain. Okay, so that is why the trust based custom facilitation measure is there, which will improve the cash flow first, then promote compliances earlier. So the people who are not complying, they will be punished, right? But here, as the flexibility has been provided to the persons, so basically there will be less areas and the less incidents where there will be no compliances. So that's how we are basically promoting compliances as well among the importers and exporters. So the existing authorized economic operator entities, including MSMEs that meet the prescribed conditions, are also eligible under the scheme. Now my dear friend, let me tell you the name of the program, that is Authorized Economic Operator Program. Now, as I told you that there are some importers and exporters who are having the good track record, so they are being given the status of AEO. Let's take an example. The people who are having that particular good track record, we give them the certification that okay, this is your certification of the good track record, right? So you are, and basically it is basically on the level of compliances that you are following. Let's take an example. There is a company, there is an importer who is following 20 rules, of the compliance, then that person is T1 at the T1 level. There is the importer who is following 50 rules, then it is a T2. There is a person at 100 rules following 100 rules, there is a T3. So basically this EMI scheme says that right now is, if you are T1, that's really good, we can provide you this flexibility, right, of the EMI scheme. But you have to ensure that you are increasing your level to T2 and T3 in the upcoming timeline. Clear? Approved EMI entities are expected to progressively obtain T2 and T3 status under the Authorized Economic Operator program. That's all from this particular article. Now let's try to discuss about the Authorized Economic Operator. It is a voluntary program of the CBIC to recognize trusted and compliant businesses involved in the international trade. Those businesses which are involved in the international trade. The businesses that maintain high levels of compliance with the customs regulations and security standards are given facilitation benefits in custom procedures. So basically the people who are, let's take an example, my dear friends, that there is a student in the class. The student is always, disciplined. The student is always regular in the class, having a good attendance record, and he always submits the assignments, the homework always on time. He comes to the school always on time. So you will always see that if someday the person is not able to maintain that standard, we are providing some flexibility to that student, right? Because we know that this person's record is really good. There might be some kind of unfortunate situation that today this was not happen. So that is why we provide the facilitation benefits in the custom procedures also to these businesses who are involved in the international trade and are having the good compliant records. Clear? The program aims to secure the international supply chain and promote ease of doing business, and it has different certification levels like T1, T2 and T3. Clear everyone? My dear RBI Grade B officers, are you guys clear with this part? So we have covered about the eligible manufacturer importer scheme. It has been launched by which organization? Quickly tell me in the chat box. Launched by CBIC, right? For paying, without paying custom duty, they can get the clearance of the goods under the deferred payment of import duty rules 2016. The facility will be available from 1st April 2026 to 31st March 2028. Existing authorized economic operator T1 entities, including MSMEs that meet the prescribed conditions, are also eligible under the scheme, right? Now let's try to answer the questions of the Vrisham round. So Dash introduced the eligible manufacturer importer scheme. Guys, you can always also think like you have purchased the goods, you have got the goods on a EMI, right? In an EMI, like you will be paying an EMI, but this will be paid on a month end, right? Clear? So which organization is there? CBIC is there. Now the import duty rules of 2016, deferred payment of import duty rules 2016, EMI facility will be available 1st April 26 to 31st March 2028. The existing Dash entities including MSMEs, that is AEO, T1 entities including MSMEs that meet the prescribed conditions are also eligible under the scheme. Authorized Economic Operator is the voluntary program of the CBIC to recognize trusted and compliant businesses involved in the international trade. Absolutely right. Everybody is able to understand it. Everybody is able to give me the right answer in the chat box. So my dear friend, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to cover from examination point of view. Clear? Clear to everyone? Okay, that's really great to see that yes, everybody is able to give me the right answers. Let's move on to the next part. Let's move on to the next news article. The expansion of allied sectors strengthening India's agriculture and rural economy. My dear friends, you all know that in our rural areas, agriculture is one of the very important pillar, right, for the people's employment. So India's agriculture and rural economy, the allied activities are having a very major role. For example, livestock, dairy, poultry, fisheries. So these are basically increasingly supporting India's agricultural growth. And you can see that the agriculture and allied sectors have recorded a steady growth rate of about 3 to 5% CAGR. So the CAGR percentage of 3 to 5% as a part of this, the contribution of the agriculture and allied sectors, right? Now let's try to see the key data. The livestock and fisheries expanded faster at 5 to 6% annually. India is leading as the world's largest milk producer. See guys, such kind of questions can always be asked in the examination, right? Contributing nearly 25% of the global output. In the terms of milk, you can see that 25% of the global output is there. And recently we covered, my dear friends, in the India New Zealand, we covered India New Zealand FTA agreement, right? Can anybody tell me whether the dairy sector was included or excluded from the India New Zealand agreement? Please tell me in the chat box. Please tell me by giving me the answer, included or excluded. Just tell me this. In the India New Zealand agreement, whether the dairy sector is included or excluded. Please quickly tell me in the chat box. Let me see who will give me the right answer. So I can see Material Share, Kavya, Harshal, Kashish, ABC, Pratyush, everybody saying that it is excluded. Well done, my dear friend. This shows that yes, you have revised the article in a very comprehensive manner. That's really great. Well done. So India is leading as the world's largest milk producer, contributing nearly 25% of the global output, with production rising to 247.87 million tons, reflecting 69% growth. When it comes to India's rank in the egg production, India is on the second position. When it comes to the fish production in the India, it is again on the second largest fish producer globally, with the production rising to 19.77. Meat production, Union Budget 26/7 allocated 2761.8 crore to the fisheries and 6153 crore to the Ministry of Agriculture, Health, MOAH&D, a 16% increase, reinforcing sustained sectoral investment. Clear, my dear friends? So it's Ministry of Animal Husbandry, right? So my dear friends, livestock and fisheries expanded at 5 to 6% annually, and India is the world's largest milk producer, 25% of the global output, with production rising to 247.87 MT. When it comes to egg production, India is on the second position. When it comes to fish production, India is on the second position. Clear to everyone? Let's move on to the next news article. So Niti Aayog and JICA has signed a record of discussion, my dear friends. So Niti Aayog and the Japan International Cooperation Agency. You know Niti Aayog? Niti Aayog replaced the Planning Commission in year 2015, right? And recently we saw the vice chairman of the Niti Aayog got changed. Can anybody tell me the name of the person? It's Ashok Lahiri. Absolutely right. So Niti Aayog is basically focusing on preparing the Niti for the development of the nation, preparing policies for the development of the nation, right? And the Japan International Cooperation Agency is also an organization which works for the developmental works. So both of these organizations have signed a record of discussions for the project for promotion of the program for Japan-India cooperative action towards Sustainable Development Goals Phase 2. So my dear friends, you all know Sustainable Development Goals. How many goals are there? Quickly tell me in the chat box. 17. By which year we are targeting to achieve them? 2030. So Sustainable Development Goals are the goals adopted globally for enhancing inclusive and sustainable development in the society, right? So as a part of this record of discussion, we will be strengthening India-Japan development cooperation and support the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals in the aspirational districts and the aspirational blocks. So my dear friends, I already told you that we are having aspirational district program, aspirational block program. So there are some underdeveloped areas in our country, right? So which are not having any fault, that is why they are underdeveloped. Basically they require some additional support from the government of India for making them developed, and by working on the various important areas like health, sanitation, education, right? And when it comes to Sustainable Development Goals, these also focus on the same, like health, poverty, reducing poverty, improving health, right? Improving education. So basically we are trying to focus on the Sustainable Development Goals implementation in the aspirational districts and aspirational blocks, right? Let's take an example, my dear friend. Let's try to understand this with the help of an example of a student. There is a student who is a very hardworking, right? It's not that the student is weak by nature. It's just that the student requires some additional support of a mentorship, target-based study, right? And some hand holding in covering some of these subjects. So if we are providing these additional support to the student is really going to, top in the examination. So basically this is that student. These aspirational blocks and the districts are those students we need which need some additional support. So the initiative has been implemented under the aspirational district program and the aspirational block program. It focuses on strengthening policy framework and implementation systems across 6 themes. So there are 6 themes across which we are going to strengthen the policy framework, which includes partnership, health and nutrition, education, agriculture and water resources, financial inclusion and skill development, and basic infrastructure. So these are the areas: global partnership, health and nutrition, education, agriculture and water resources, financial inclusion and skill development, and basic infrastructure. The aim of this particular, the record of discussion is to enhance institutional capacity building, monitoring and evaluation systems. Like we were evaluating those students properly, we were monitoring those students properly. Similarly, we will be monitoring these blocks and the districts by localization of the sustainable development goals. We already discussed the localization of SDGs in the last session. The initiative reflects the India-Japan partnership to advance SDG implementation by 2030. So my dear friends, quickly tell me in the chat box what is the name of that particular organization which has signed an MOU and a record of discussion with the Niti Aayog for implementation of sustainable development goals in the aspirational districts and the aspirational blocks. Quickly tell me the right answer. The answer is JICA. Absolutely right. Now let's try to answer these questions. Right, my dear friends? Can anybody tell me what is the right answer here? Over the last decade, agriculture and allied sectors have recorded a safety growth rate of about what percentage of the CAGR? Please quickly tell me in the chat box what is the right answer. To the very first question, we have already covered this, right? Let me see who will give me the right answer. Absolutely right. The right answer is 3 to 5%. Now please tell me the right answer to the next question. Livestock and fisheries expanded faster at what percentage annually? The livestock and the fisheries, they expanded at what percentage? Expanded at 5 to 6%. Absolutely right. Now moving on to the next part. India is leading as the world's largest milk producer, contributing nearly what percentage of the global output? Now what is the percentage for the global output of the milk? 25%. Absolutely right. Now India ranks dash second globally in the egg production, and India is the second largest fish producer globally. Absolutely right. All the people have given me the right answer. Now moving ahead, tell me the name of organization which has signed a record of discussion with the JICA for the implementation of sustainable development goals. What is the name? It is Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is the right answer. So the aim is to strengthen the India-Japan Development Cooperation and support the achievement of dash in the aspirational districts and aspirational blocks. What is the part that we are going to achieve? Sustainable development goals. The initiative is being implemented under the dash and dash. What are the two areas? These are aspirational districts program and aspirational block program. Absolutely right. So my dear friends, we are done with this part. We are done with this news article in a very comprehensive way. Now let's move on to the next part. So guys, index of industrial production we have already covered, right? Let me tell you from the examination point of view, we are only required to cover the latest data. We are only required to cover the latest data, and we have already covered the latest data recently for the month of April, right? So that means we are not required to cover this data for now from examination point of view. This is an outdated data for the January 2026. So this is no more relevant from exam point of view. Clear? So moving ahead, mandatory 150 hours of the on-the-job training introduced in the ITIs. My dear friends, you all know in our country there are some industrial training institutes which provides the vocational training and the technical training to the people across the various technical areas. For example, electrician, mechanic, right? So basically these are provided with the proper technical skills. But what was happening recently, we saw that basically people are more, they are more pro in the technical knowledge. They are more pro in the technical knowledge. But when it comes to the industry requirement, they are not having that kind of proper practical knowledge, right? So we just want that people are not just having the technical knowledge, but instead they are also having the proper industrial knowledge as well, the practical knowledge which is the requirement of the industries. Let's take an example, my dear friends. Let's take an example that there is a student. Okay, and there is a student who want to learn cricket. Okay, so right now IPL is going on. I believe that most of the people are basically focusing on their studies, keeping aside their urge to watch the IPL matches. I know that you are really good cricket fans, but again we have to ensure we are focusing more on the studies, right? So my dear friends, let me tell you here a very important part. Let's take an example that there is a person who want to learn cricket, and I have provided him 50 hours of the lecture on the cricket. Okay, that how to hold a bat, how to play the ball. I am just showing him with the help of a video, that's it. How to play a shot, how to take a catch, right? But there is no practical exposure to the person. I am not allowing him to play in the match. No, I am just giving him the video that okay, just watch how exactly we need to do all of this. Will that particular player will become a good player? Please tell me an answer, yes or no. Please give me the answer, yes or no. And I can see most of the people are saying no, that yes, the person will not be a good player. But if there is a person to whom I have given 25 hours of the video lecture, right, on the cricket, and I have allowed him to play the 25 matches of 1 hour each. So who will be the better player now? The player number 1 or player number 2? So everybody is saying that the player number 2. So basically, let me tell you that this is the similar part I am trying to make you understand in these ITIs. What was happening is people are having the good technical knowledge, but they are not having the practical exposure. So without practical exposure, the knowledge is not going to help you out. That is why what we have done is that we want the people to have some practical exposure. They are having some good skills in the practicality as well, right? And what is the requirement of the industry right now? We have to understand that, and that is the reason that we have come up with this particular part. Clear everyone? Absolutely right. So that is why what we decided is that we are reducing the number of hours in the study, and we are reducing that number and adding those hours to the practical knowledge. When people will be having a tour of the industry, they will be practicing, they will be getting the real time exposure, that how exactly in an industry what we have learned in the theory, how exactly we came into the practical of that. So that is a very important part. So my dear friends, you can see that mandatory 150 hours of on the job training introduced in ITIs. Directorate General of Training under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship issued guidelines introducing mandatory 150 hours of the on the job training or the group project for the trainees in the industrial training institutes under the craftsman training scheme. We are already having a craftsman training scheme, right, which was launched in 1950. So basically there we have added a provision, and this provision will be implemented from the academic session 2022 to 2023, that we are basically ensuring that we are reducing the 150 hours, and we will be having the 150 hours of on the job training for these people who are getting the technical knowledge. We want to provide greater exposure to the modern industrial technologies and real workplace experience for the ITI trainees. In alignment with the National Education Policy 2020, the annual training duration under the CTs has been reduced from 1600 hours to the 1200 hours. You can see here, guys, that we have reduced the annual training from 1600 hours to the 1200 hours with the addition of 150 hours of the on the job training or the group project. So from the learning part we have reduced 400 hours, and we have added 150 hours to the on the job training, which will be making more results, right? When it comes to the craftsman training scheme, it was launched in 1950 to create a skilled workforce by providing employment oriented vocational training to youth. So we are providing employment oriented vocational training to the youth. The scheme provides certification through the Directorate General of Training and the National Council for Vocational Education and Training, supporting long-term career opportunities for the trainees. So my dear friend, that is what we need to understand here, right? We are providing the certification through the DGT, right? And the National Council for Vocational Education and Training, which supports long-term career opportunities for the training. providing them the learning as well as the practical exposures. Clear? From which year, from which academic session we are having this in the ruling? That is 2022 to 2023. Absolutely right. We are aligning it with the national education policy, and we are reducing the number of hours from 1600 hours to 1200 hours with the addition of 150 hours of OGT or the group project. Absolutely right. This is the right answer. Clear, my dear friends? Now let's try to answer this question. How many hours have been mandated on the job training introduced in ITIs? 150 hours. The DGT under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship issued guidelines introducing mandatory 150 hours on the job training or the group project for trainees in industrial training institutes under the craftsman training scheme. It will be implemented from which academic session? 2022 to 23. Now we have reduced the CTS hours from 1600 hours to 1200 hours with the addition of 150 hours of OJT or the group project. The craftsman training scheme was launched in which year? It was launched in 1950. Clear, everyone? Clear, everyone? Everybody is able to understand this news article in a very holistical manner. I hope this is clear to everyone. Now let's move on to the next article. EPFO's Central Board of Trustees recommends 8.25% interest rate for the 25-26. My dear friends, let's try to understand this with the help of an example. Let's take an example that there is a man, right? He is doing a job. Let's take an example. His salary is 100 rupees, and he is having a very good habit of saving some part of the salary in a piggy box. Right? He is maintaining a piggy box, and every month he basically 10% of the salary he is submitting to the piggy box. And let me tell you that the employer is also contributing to this piggy box of the man, considering his healthy habit of saving. So 10% is also added by the employer as well. So after a certain amount of time, what will happen? He will be having a good corpus, right? He will be having a good corpus. Let me tell you, my dear friends, that such kind of facilities are provided by an organization in our country for the people who are working in the organized sector. So such kind of piggy bank boxes are being, maintained by the organization, and the name of that organization is Employees Provident Fund Organization, EPFO, which is responsible for all the social security schemes in our country. And recently its 239th meeting was held under the Ministry of Labour and Employment, where the Central Board of Trustees of the EPFO have taken some decision. See guys, when this particular corpus is getting higher and higher in that piggy bank box, right, what exactly happens is it also earns some interest. It also earns some interest amount, right? So that interest is also added to the piggy banks box, right? Similarly, my dear friends, we have seen here that all the deposits which are the part of this account, so they will be earning an interest rate of 8.25% on the EPF deposits for the financial year 25-26. It recommended annual interest rate of 8.25%. The interest rate will be officially notified by the Government of India. Clear? See, it is being proposed by the Central Board of Trustees, but it will be notified by the Government of India only. The board approved a pilot project for auto initiation of claim settlement in the inoperative EPFO accounts with unclaimed balances of rupees 1000 or less. Now guys, let us take an example that this man has shifted a job, and there the employer has created another piggy box here, right? He has created another piggy box. Then he went to the another job after 2 years, then he is having another box. So now he is having so many boxes, right, in the trail. So basically what happens is that, let's take an example, right now in the previous boxes there will be no such contribution, right, because the person is having now a new box every time he is switching the job. Similarly, there is no additional contribution to the box by the employer as well, because that person is no more employed in that particular office. So let me tell you, my dear friends, the very important point, that what happens, that these boxes which are no more receiving any contribution, so this becomes inoperative, because for a long time we have not seen any kind of contribution received in these particular accounts, EPFO accounts. Now let's replace this piggy box with the EPFO account. Right now I will only be using the term EPFO account. So the EPFO account is become inoperative, and that is why, see, for the people who are already having a very less salary, for them any amount is really very important, and that is why now a particular step has been approved by the board, and board says that we will be having the auto initiation of the claim settlement, that all such kind of EPFO accounts which are having the amount of rupees 1000 or less, what we will be doing, we will be settling this amount, right? We will be providing, we will be giving that amount back to the person, because the person has just forget it, or he don't know how to avail that benefit, or is not aware that how exactly I can take that amount. So basically we are availing the people, and we are ensuring that okay, these 1000 rupees or less are basically there in your EPFO account, please take it. So that's how we will be able to close these accounts, right? So that we are already seen that okay, now these accounts are no more there is no more liability on us, and now we are focusing on the remaining accounts, right? So these inoperative EPFO accounts or employees provident fund accounts where no contribution has been received or for a longer period of time, the amount where 1000 or less, we will be working on that. We will be helping the auto initiation of claim settlement for these accounts. The pilot project will cover over 1.33 lakh accounts involving 5.68 crores. Additionally, my dear friends, the Central Board of Trustees has approved an amnesty scheme for exempted establishments to protect workers' interests and enable faster resolution of the disputes. My dear friends, let me tell you that the big houses, right? There are some big houses which basically, maintains these piggy bank, the EPFO accounts on its own for these workers, right? So basically these powers have been given by the EPFO only to these organizations, that okay, you want to do it on your own, you can do it on your own, right? So basically all the disputes which are there, for the faster resolution of the disputes, so these are basically maintaining the records, right, and maintaining the accounts as well. So what they have done is that they have exempted these establishments to protect the workers' interests and enable faster resolution of the disputes, that okay, you don't need our permission, you can do this on your own. So a special one-time opportunity has been given by the government or an authority to individuals or an organization to correct the past violation. Let's take an example. This organization has done some violation in maintaining the account of that EPFO account, right? So what exactly government has now allowed, that okay, if there is any past violation, now you can correct that. We will not be imposing any penalty on you. You can just correct it, but make sure you are correcting it. Clear, everyone? So that's how this is going to work. So these are the good decisions which are being taken by Central Board of Trustees in the 239th meeting. Now let's try to answer the question. The EPFO Central Board of Trustees has recommended what interest rate? What is the percentage of interest rate? 8.25%. Absolutely right. 239th meeting under the New Delhi under the which ministry? Ministry of Labour and Employment. It recommended annual interest rate of 8.25%. The board approved a pilot project for auto initiation of claim settlement in inoperative EPFO accounts with unclaimed balances of dash or less, of rupees 1000 or less. CBDT approved and dash for exempted establishments to protect the workers' interest. What is the name of the scheme? It is amnesty scheme. Absolutely right. Now let me see who has given me the right answer in the chat box. So Harshal, Kashish, Kavya, Upasna, Material Share, Pratyush, ABC, these are the people who have given me the right answer. Well done, my dear friends. Now let's move on to the next news article. Now we are moving on to the Yuva Sangam phase 6 has been launched. Guys, Yuva Sangam we already discussed in the April month, right? So Yuva Sangam is basically an initiative, right? Let me again help you to understand this with the help of a very easy example. Let's take an example that there is a one single family, right? Let's take an example. It's your family only. It's your family. You are living in Punjab. One of the cousin is living in Assam. One of the cousin is living in Uttar Pradesh. One is living in Mumbai. One is living in Gujarat, right? And they are living there for a longer period of time. So what will happen? They will be having their own kind of languages, culture that they will be following there, right? The festival that they will be, celebrating together in the communities where they are living, right? When you guys are meeting on a get together in one of the family function of your cousin, all these cousins are meeting together, so you won't be able to understand each other properly because of the different culture languages that they are using, right? But now, my dear friends, what if I send you, let's take an example that what you do is that, okay, I have already become the RBI Grade B officer, and now what I will be doing is I will be going to the house of every cousin who is living in the different parts of the India. So when you will be living in their houses, within some time you will be creating an emotional bond with them, with the community, with the culture. You will be able to know about that, right? You will be having an enriching experience about the food habits, the culture that they are following, right? Similarly, my dear friend, let me tell you that India is a family. India is a family, and we are having a lot of diversity, right? So what we do is that we are having a youth exchange program, in which what is happening is the youth is basically going to the different parts of the India, and they are basically getting the enriching experience of the diversity that we are having in all these areas, and they will be learning more about the different cultures, the food habits, the eating habits, the you know wearing habits, and everything about those areas. So that is what about the youth Yuva Sangam. Yeah, right, this is the Yuva Sangam. So Ministry of Education has launched the online registration portal for Yuva Sangam phase 6 under the Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat initiative. My dear friends, Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat initiative, again an initiative where we are basically focusing on unity in the diversity. We are having one India, but we want to make it great by how? By integration, by so that all the people having a respect for everyone, for the diversity that we are having in terms of culture, knowledge, and everything. And that is why Yuva Sangam is the flagship youth exchange program which has been launched by the Department of Higher Education to strengthen emotional bonds and mutual understanding among the youth from different states and union territories. Clear everyone? Clear everyone? Now when we talk about the Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat program, my dear friends, it was launched on the Unity Day. Can anybody tell me the Unity Day has been celebrated on which date? The Unity Day, it has been celebrated every year on 31st of October. Absolutely right. It is the birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel ji, who is basically known for unifying India. Absolutely right. Now guys, the program facilitates structured exposure visits between the paired states to promote spirit of unity and diversity. The youth is aged 18 to 30 years. They can participate. The youth aged 18 to 30 years can participate. And this includes students of the higher education institutions. The students who are the part of higher education institutions, NSS volunteers, NYKS volunteers, young professionals. So these are the different people who are engaged and who are going for the tours, right? And right now 22 higher educational institutions in the phase 6 have been identified as a nodal institution to lead the program across the country. They will be going for a 5 to 7 day educational and cultural tours. Now my dear friends, try to understand this. Under the Yuva Sangam, we are having the 5 P's. We are having the 5 P's. What exactly 5 P's are? Paryatan, Parampara, Pragati, Paraspar, Pradyogiki. Let's take an example how to remember this. Let's take an example. Paryatak. Paryatak basically means tourist. Paryatak Param. Param is the name of the person. Paryatak Param have a sampark, communicated with another Paryatak, Pragati. Pragati is the name of another Paryatak. And how they are coming in contact with the technology. What is technology? That is Udyogiki, Pradyogiki, right? So with this you can remember all these parts. Paryatak Param, Sampark Pragati through technology, right? Paryatak is basically Paryatan. Param is Parampara. Sampark is basically Paraspar Sampark. Then Pragati, development and governance. And then we are having Pradyogiki, technology. Clear? In this way you can remember this. Paryatak Param, Samparks Pragati through technology, and that's how they have become good friends now. Clear? So that's what we are doing in the youth exchange program, right? The people are basically creating an emotional bonds by going to those particular places which they have never visited. They are quite of kind of alien to them right now, but after a 5 to 7 days of staying there, they will be having that particular emotional bond with each other. Clear to everyone? Now let's try to answer these questions. The Yuva Sangam Dash launched the online registration portal for Yuva Sangam phase 6. What is the name of the ministry? Ministry of Education. Absolutely right. Yuva Sangam is a flagship youth program of Department of Higher Education aimed at strengthening emotional bonds and mutual understanding. Now please tell me the youth aged of what is the age group? 18 to 30 years of the youth can participate. Now, what are the 5 thematic pillars? What are the 5 thematic pillars? I told you. Paryatak Param, Samparks, Pragati through technology, that is through Pradyogiki. So, Paryatan, Parampara, Paraspar Sampark, Pragati and Pradyogiki. Absolutely right. Everybody is able to give me the right answer here. Well done, my dear friends. You guys are just talking in the session and everybody is able to give me the right answer in the chat box. Well done. That's really great. Now let's move ahead to the next part. India advancing self-reliance and export resilience. India advancing self-reliance and export resilience. Guys, India has emerged as the fastest growing major economy in the post-pandemic period. And we have seen that, you know, how exactly we have become the fastest growing major economy because of the healthy banking system, strong credit intermediation, ample foreign exchange reserves are there, and India is strengthening resilient supply chain and diversifying trade and investment partnerships. When we talk about the India's cumulative exports, it has reached to the value of $720.76 billion. Guys, $720.76 billion US dollars is the cumulative exports during April to January 25-26, recording 6.15% year-on-year growth. Then we are having the service exports of 354.13 billion, which registered 10.57% year-on-year growth. So cumulative exports में कितना growth हुआ 6.15%. What is the value? 720.76 billion. And service exports में कितना growth हुआ 10.57%. What is the value? $354.13 billion. Absolutely right. Let's try to solve this question. The cumulative exports has reached what value? With the growth of 6.15%, that is 720 billion. And when it comes to the service exports, it has increased. The value has become 354.13 billion with registering 10.57% year-on-year growth. Absolutely right. Everybody has given me the right answer. Clear, my dear friends? Clear to everyone? Okay, I can see that yes, everybody is giving me the right answer. Let's move on to the next part. The key outcomes of the visit of the Prime Minister of Canada to India. The key outcome of the visit of Prime Minister of Canada to India. So my dear friend Narendra Modi ji has met the Excellency Right Honorable Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, who paid an official visit to India. So Prime Minister Modi ji invited Prime Minister of Canada Mark Carney, right? And guys, both of them were celebrating 79 years of establishment of the diplomatic relations. So see guys, you always know that the childhood friends of ours, we always keep on meeting together, right? And we are making, bettering our relations. How do we better our relations? We better our relations through by meeting each other, right? By celebrating the things together, by inviting each other to their homes, by hosting parties for them, right? By celebrating their successes and by helping them in their failures. So that's how we basically create those relations. Similarly, India is having a diplomatic relation of 79 years with Canada, and India and Canada has finalized the terms of reference for negotiations on the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. When it is the part of the two countries, how they maintain their relations? By having some good trade relations, by having good trade, right? By having good partnerships across the various areas. So basically, India and Canada have finalized the terms of reference for the negotiations on the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. That okay, what are the different areas on which we can work? What are the different areas, in which our people are facing the problem, and how can you provide us a solution? What are the different areas in which you are facing the problem? We can provide you the solution, right? So these are basically the terms of reference for negotiations for the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. So they are basically now moving ahead for the bigger agreement, right? So they are now making their relationship kind of official, right? With this CEPA. So covering trade in goods, services, other policy areas, aiming to achieve bilateral trade of USD 50 billion by 2030. So they are now having the target that they will be having a good bilateral trade of 50 billion US dollars by year 2030. Absolutely, this is the right answer. Clear? So now, my dear friends, All India Canada Australia trilateral MOU was also signed to promote the cooperation in emerging technologies and innovation. Let me tell you that recently in the past we had seen such question in the examination where the question was on the ACITI partnership, right? And the name of the countries was asked. The right answer was Australia, Canada, Australia. Sorry, India, Canada, Australia, right? ACI, Australia, Canada, India. Technology and Innovation under the Australia, Canada, India Technology and Innovation Partnership. The declaration of intent was signed to establish an India-Canada Pulse Protein Center of Excellence in NIFTM-K. Commercial contract was signed between the Department of Atomic Energy and Cameco for the supply of uranium ore concentrates, and they are basically targeting India's nuclear energy expansion and the goal of 100 gigawatt nuclear power capacity by 2047. So please remember this data. By 2047 we are targeting 100 gigawatts of nuclear power capacity. Now there was an MOU signed between AICTE and MITAX was signed for the Global Link research internships, providing fully funded 12-week research internships for up to 300 Indian students annually for 3 years. So guys, you all know that we had seen such kind of partnership when we were discussing the India-New Zealand agreement, right? Covered in the last session. So similarly, we are having such kind of different agreements with the Canada. Then there was an MOU on the Critical Mineral Corporation, Renewable Energy Corporation, Cultural Corporation. Then Canada has announced its participation in the global initiatives led by India. For example, Global Biofuel Alliance has been launched by India. Global Biofuel Alliance, International Solar Alliance is there. India has supported Canada's entry into the Indian Ocean Rim Association. See guys, you always know that the friends that we are having with the good relations, we always introduce these friends to the other friends also, right? So that we can include them in the group. So basically IORA, that is Indian Ocean Rim Association, is a group, and we are basically supporting Canada entry as a dialogue partner for that group. Then both countries agreed to establish an India-Canada Parliament Friendship Group. Universities Canada launched a Canada-India joint talent and innovation strategy to enhance academic collaboration. So you guys can see here that how exactly we are really focusing on these areas, and we are partnering with the Canada. 79 years of relationship, diplomatic relations, USD 50 billion target of bilateral trade between the two countries by 2030 that we are targeting. Then we are having ACITI relationship, partnership. India-Canada Pulse Protein Center at NIFTM, 100 gigawatt of nuclear power capacity by 2047. Right? Canada's entry into the Indian Ocean Rim Association as a dialogue partner. Now I want all of you to give me the answer to this Grisham round for this particular news article. So the key outcomes of the visit of the Prime Minister of Canada to India was there. Both of them have basically commemorated how many years of establishment of diplomatic relations, that is 79 years. Right? India and Canada finalized the terms of reference for the negotiations on the dash, covering trade in goods, services and other policy areas, that is negotiation of the CEP, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. That is the right answer. Now they are focusing on the bilateral USD 50 billion of trade by 2030. India, Canada and Australia trilateral MOU we are discussing here. Australia, Canada, India Technology and Innovation Partnership was there. A commercial contract was signed where we are basically focusing on the nuclear power capacity of India by 2047. What is the number? 100 gigawatt. Moving ahead, India has supported Canada's entry into the Indian Ocean Rim Association as a dash partner, as a dialogue partner. Absolutely right. I can see in the chat box Harshal, Kashish, Material Share, Kavya, ABC, Upasna, Pratyush. Everybody has given me the right answer. Well done, my dear friends. Well done. Let's move on to the next news article. Now let's move on to the next news article. I hope everybody is ready for the next news article. Okay. So India and European Union has agreed to grant most favored nation status. Now you must be having the question that, sir, what is this most favored nation status? I think we have already discussed it quite many times when we discussed the free trade agreement between the two nations, right? So you all know that we discussed about that part when both the countries want to have a good relations and they want to increase the trade. So what they do? They basically remove the barriers, right? The kind of customs duty that both the nations, importer and exporter, have to pay. So basically they remove all those things so that we are having, good trade relations with each other. Easy trade is there, right? So now, my dear friend, there is a most favored nation status. What exactly it means? It means that, for example, let's take an example of this class, and I say that there is a person X, right? And I say to that person that, okay, if you are giving me 100% answers, if you are giving me 100% answer to all the Drishyam round questions, in the today's session, I will declare you as a champion. I will declare you as a champion, right? So this is how I am going to treat the person X. Now let's take an example that there are three more people, A, B and C, and I am having the MFN status with these three people. So basically, if I will be giving the champion status to the people who have given me the 100% status, 100% answer to the Drishyam rounds, right? So I am calling him a champion. Similarly, the condition will remain the same for the people, for the countries who are having with whom I am having the most favored nation status. That is ABC. The ABC people, if they are also complying with this condition, then they will also be called the champion. If they are giving 100% answers. So it's not just X. It's ABC will also get the chance to become the champion. Right? So basically, when it comes to the countries, now please come at the country level. What happens is, let's take an example. India is having a MFN status with the European Union, right? India is having a MFN status with the European Union. So let's take an example that European Union is giving some type of flexibility to XYZ nation, right? To XYZ nation. As it has announced this kind of flexibility for the XYZ nation, then this means that India will automatically will be eligible to get this flexibility because MFN status has been signed between India and European Union. Getting the point? Are you guys able to understand? So India and the European Union agreed to grant each other most favored nation status. For how many years? They are going to do it for a period of 5 years, starting from the date the trade agreement enters into force. What is the most favored nation? It is a trade principle in international trade agreements under which country must give equal trade advantage to all its trading partners. वो सभी trading partners को equal trade advantage देने वाला है, किसी के साथ कोई discrimination नहीं करने वाला है, right? It won't be discriminating with any other country. If a country gives special trade benefit like lower tariffs to one country, then these must be extended to all these countries which they are having the MFN status with it. Clear? I hope that you are able to understand it, right? So the provision is a part of the draft India-EU Free Trade Agreement finalized after negotiations that were relaunched in 2022. Under the agreement, what percentage of the EU exports to India will be having the eliminated or the reduced duties? That is 96.6%. So 96.6% of the EU exports to India will have tariff eliminated or reduced, right? And 99.5% of the Indian exports to the European Union by trade value will also receive tariff elimination or the reduction. So 96.6% of EU exports to India and 99.5% of Indian exports to the EU. So India is again having an advantage. You guys remember when it came to the India-New Zealand, New Zealand gave 100% access to India, but India said that we will only be providing you 70%, only 70.03% of only the access to the Indian market. Do you guys remember or you guys forgot that part that we have covered in the yesterday's session? Okay, the people who are claiming that yes sir, we have done proper revision. Okay, please tell me, for how many subsectors? For how many subsectors India has signed a MFN status to the New Zealand? Please tell me the number of subsectors. Let me see who is the champion here. Let me see who is the champion. For how many subsectors we have signed a MFN status with the New Zealand? What exactly it is? So that is 139 subsectors. Absolutely right. 139. Well done, my dear future RBI officers. I am really glad to see everybody of you is giving me the right answer to these questions. Well done. So are you guys ready for the question now? So please tell me here, India and Dash agree to grant most favored nation status. What is it? It is European Union. India and the European Union agreed to grant each other most favored nation status for how many years? For what amount of time? 5 years. Absolutely right. Under the agreement, what percentage of EU exports to India will have tariff eliminated or reduced? That is 96% around. Now for the Indian exports, you will be giving me the right answer. For the Indian exports, you will be giving me the right answer. Please tell me how much amount for the Indian exports to the EU, which will be receiving tariff elimination or reduction. So I can see here, absolutely right, it is 99.5%. Absolutely right, Harshal, Ikigai, Kashish, Kavya, Pratush, Material Share. Everybody has given the right answer, 99.5%. 99.5% is the right answer. Well done. So I hope that everybody is able to understand this article. Now let's move on to the next article. So the 7 years of Swayat initiative. My dear friends, before that I would like to give you a very important information here. Swayat initiative को understand करेंगे with the help of an example. Right? So whenever you guys want to purchase anything, you guys go to the Flipkart, Amazon, Snapdeal, Myntra. Right? Whatever you want to purchase, you go to these platforms and you are able to purchase the things. Right? But let's now take an example that, see, you are the general public. But let's take an example, if you are a department office of the government of India. If you are a public sector unit office, right? And you want to purchase some things. So to which platform you will be going? You will be going to the government e-marketplace, GEM. So government e-marketplace is that Amazon or Flipkart platform for the government offices. If they want to purchase anything, it can be computer, curtains, furniture, books, anything. Okay, clear? Now my dear friends, let me tell you. Now let's take another example. You guys are able to understand about the government e-marketplace, right? Now let's take an example that there is an exhibition. There is an exhibition, right? And this was really a world level exhibition. In the world level exhibition, you can see that there will be lot of brands. Whenever a big mall opens, what is there? There are a lot of global brands which participate, which are having their sections here, right? To showcase their products. To showcase their products, they are having some big sections, right? So in that exhibition also they will be having these big sections. Then if these global brands are only having these big sections, then what about the local brands, my dear friends? Local brands, small startups, women entrepreneurs who are risers. So how exactly they will be getting that space? Let's take an example. Government says that, okay, see, only in the 75% of the area, these global brands will be having the section. The remaining 25% is reserved for the section for the small startups, right? So this small section that we have provided, so we are providing access to the market, access to the exhibition, right, to these small startups. Let me tell you, my dear friends, in the government e-marketplace, again, there might be some big players who are there, who will be from where these government offices will be procuring the elements, right, the products. But in order to enhance the procurement from the women entrepreneurs, from the small MSMEs, from the youth owned MSMEs or the startups, so we are coming up with that 25% section, that is the Swayat initiative. So the Swayat initiative is that VIP entry which is being given to these women youth advantage or the startups, and they can enroll themselves on the government e-marketplace from where the government offices can directly procure the amount from them. Understanding the example? Swayat initiative, my dear friends. We have already discussed this in one of the sessions of the April 2026, right? But again, I have explained it to all of you in a very beautiful manner. Please give me a thumbs up in the chat box if you guys are able to understand. Please give me a thumbs up in the chat box if you guys are able to understand. So guys, Government e-Marketplace has celebrated 7-year journey of the Swayat initiative, which stands for Startups, Women and Youth Advantage. Startup, Women and Youth Advantage through e-transactions, aimed at making government procurement more inclusive in nature. Clear? It will democratize the public procurement through digital access, transparent processes and direct market linkages, expanding opportunities for emerging enterprises across India. Women entrepreneurs participation has been seen that 1265.62 crore It has improved from 1265 crore to 83,323 crores. The order volume has also increased to 44.4 lakhs during the same period. See guys, everything, the order value as well as the order volume has increased for women entrepreneurs. Similarly, for the startups, you can see that order value has increased to 54,000 crore, order volume has increased to 5.3 lakhs. So this is a win-win situation. This Swayat initiative is not just on the papers, it is also helping the startups, right? So now my dear friends, I hope that everything is clear. Now when we will be discussing the technical details of the Swayat, it will be really a cakewalk for all of you. So see, Swayat initiative, it was launched on 19th February 2019. Why? To enable the startups, women entrepreneurs, youth, micro small enterprises, self-help groups and the last mile sellers to directly participate in the government procurement through government e-marketplace platform. So through the government e-marketplace platform, they can directly participate in the government procurement processes. So it addresses the three key challenges. What are the three key challenges? Access to the market has been provided, access to finance, access to value addition, right? So access to market, finance and value addition. These are the three areas, the challenges which have been addressed by this particular initiative. The government e-marketplace supports the initiative through dedicated storefronts. There are some storefronts which are being opened by the government e-marketplace to support them, which includes Startup Runway and the Womania initiative, which improve the visibility of sellers among the government buyers. So among the government buyers, we will be having the visibility. See guys, if we are not even visible, so how exactly we will be able to, how exactly we will be able to aware the people that yes, we are also providing this information. Let's take an example of the chapters, right? So my different chapters has been launched recently, right? Let me tell you honestly that if you will search chapters on the YouTube, only 10% of the chances are there that it will be showing our official channel. Otherwise you will be see lot of XYZ channels are been there on the display on the YouTube. Why? Because chapters is quite new. We have not reached to all the aspirants. That's why we always recommend students to share with other students as well, so that they can also get to know and they can also make the most out of these sessions and the products and the services that we are providing at chapters, right? Similarly, government e-marketplace has supported the initiatives of Swayat initiative by providing the storefront like Startup Runway and the Womania, which improves visibility of sellers among the government buyers. The way we were improving our visibility on the YouTube among the RBI Grade B officer exam aspirants. Similarly, it is improving the visibility of sellers among the government buyers. Are you guys able to understand it? Right? Now let's move on to the government e-marketplace. Guys, government e-marketplace we have already discussed that so many times in our previous April month session, so I am not going to repeat it. I believe you guys already know about that, right? When it was launched, why it was launched, what are the key technical details, everything we have already covered in a very, very detailed manner related to the government e-marketplace. Clear, my dear friends? So I hope that this is clear to everyone. Let's move ahead. How many years of Swayat initiative has taken place? Are you guys ready? Ready? Please give me the answer in the chat box. How many years of Swayat initiative? 7 years. So we have celebrated the 7-year journey of the Swayat initiative. What exactly Swayat stands for? Startup, Women Advancement, Youth Advantaged for e-transactions. The Swayat was launched on 19th February 2019 to enable the startup, women entrepreneurs, youth, micro and small enterprises, self-help groups and last mile sellers to directly participate in the government procurement through the government e-marketplace platform. Right? The initiative focused on addressing 3 key challenges. What are the challenges? One challenge was market access. One challenge was finance. What is the third challenge? That has been addressed? Please tell me in the chat box. Absolutely right. Harshal, Kavya, Material Share, Upasna, Ikigai, Kavya, everybody of you have given me the right answer. That is startup women youth advantage through e-transactions. Absolutely right. So it is a market Excess finance and the value addition. Absolutely right. Well done. Well done, everyone. Now, the government e-marketplace supports the initiative through dedicated stored fronts such as Dash Runway and Womania. That is Startup Runway. So, guys, we are done with this news article. Are you guys able to understand it from examination point of view? Clear to everyone? Okay. Let's move on to the next news article. So, India's achievements in the free trade agreements. My dear friends, we have already discussed many times about the India's free trade agreements with the many countries. 9 agreements India has already signed with the 38 countries, right? And we had signed some key free trade agreement with the different countries. Let me tell you, in the previous year we have seen such kind of question where they are asking the number of FTAs that India has signed, right? With how many countries we have signed. Okay, so India Mauritius agreement signed in 2021, India UAE CPA signed in May 2022, India Australia economic and trade agreement signed in December 2022, India EFTA trade and economic partnership agreement signed on 10th March 2024, entered into force on 1st October 2025. India UK comprehensive economic trade agreement CTA July 25, India Oman comprehensive economic partnership agreement December 2025. And if I add here India New Zealand agreement also, right? We can also add India New Zealand agreement, okay, which has already been given here, but we have already covered it. India European Union and India New Zealand. So my dear friend, that's all from this news article. We already know about the free trade agreement, so there is no requirement of again discussing them. But I want all of you to discuss them in a detailed manner, right? I want you to read them in a detailed manner when you will be revising the PDFs. Moving ahead to a very, very important article, guys, that is the revamped public dashboard of the MP Lad eSakshi portal. Right? Let's try to understand this with the help of a very easy example. Let's again go back to the school, my dear friends. School days were really awesome. That's why I always go back to the school, right? So, my dear friends, when it comes to the school, in our school there used to be a monitor in our class, right? Monitor in our class. So let's take an example that this monitor has analyzed his class, that in his class the chalkboard is basically not appropriate. It is broken. The lighting facility in the class is not good. The number of benches for the students is not at all there, right? The adequate number of benches are not there. Chalkboard is not there. Lighting conditions are not good. We are not having a good display board where we can keep the notice of all the students, right? Clear? The classroom is not having a door, so always you see that outside noise is coming to the classroom. So the monitor has basically analyzed all these situations and it raised the issue with the teacher and the principal of the school that please improve, please work on our classroom across these areas, right, my dear friends? So when the monitor has basically analyzed his observation, it is recommended that these are the areas on which the school is required to work upon, right? And now let's take an example that there are so many monitors, and you can see that when the principal will be seeing that, okay, what are the suggestions that we have got from the monitors, so they will be seeing so many applications are there. So the principal himself will get confused, right? Okay, oh my god, there are so many suggestions on what areas I could improve, right? And I need to also tell the same thing, explain the same thing to the teachers and the related stakeholders who will be taking the steps to do all such kind of activities, right? Improvements in the class. Now, my dear friends, let's take an example that school principal says that, okay, monitor, now we are having a mobile app, right? Whatever suggestions you are having, you can just add those suggestions there. You can just add those suggestions on the app along with the pictures that, okay, these are the things on which we need to work upon, so that we are having this assurity that, okay, these are the real problems. And then the principal also says the relevant stakeholders and the teachers, what step you have taken. Let's take an example. Teacher said that okay, I have fixed the relevant stakeholder said that okay, I have fixed the door of the classroom. Okay, now the principal want to check it. So will principal will be going to each and every classroom and have that kind of route, because he is already having so many work to do. So what exactly he will be doing is, he says to that relevant stakeholder that okay, please upload the picture where the door of the classroom is already fixed, right, through that mobile app. Clear, my dear friends? Now let's try to replicate this example in the city, right, in the city. So my dear friends, in our city we are having a monitor, which is the MP, right, member of the parliament. We are having that monitor. So the monitor can give the suggestions, recommended some works like the cleanliness, sanitation, school infrastructure, road, which are basically for the public welfare. Now how exactly he will be doing that? Through an application. What is the name of the application? Sakshi. E-Sakshi. E-Sakshi, guys. What is the meaning of the Sakshi? So we always say that जब इंडिया ने वर्ल्ड कप जीता तो हम सभी साक्षी थे उस प्रमाण के कि इंडिया ने वर्ल्ड कप जीता. दैट वी वर एविडेंट, we were spectators of that winning of India winning the World Cup, right? So basically how we can do that? With the help of an application where there will be the pictures of that work, that yes, this work has been completed. Getting the point, my dear friends? And all these things we are doing under which scheme? We are doing this in the MP-led scheme. We are witnessing that yes, this project has been done with the proof, and that how we will be able to witness through the e-Sakshi platform. And this is all these activities are taking place under the MP-led scheme. What exactly will be that? I will be telling you in a very detailed manner. But before that, I want a confirmation from every one of you that yes, we are able to understand all these information. We are able to understand this example. And I have already replicated the example at the actual city level also to make you understand it in a better manner. So everybody please give me a thumbs up in the chat box if you guys are able to understand. Right? So my dear friends, MP-led's e-Sakshi public dashboard has been improved to enhance the transparency. So the improvement has been made to MP-led e-Sakshi public dashboard to enhance the transparency. The public dashboard of the MP-led e-Sakshi portal has been revamped to enhance transparency and accessibility of information related to the Members of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme. Member of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme. So Member of Parliament under this scheme is basically recommending the changes that he want to see in his city, right? In his constituency. And these suggestions, these recommendations will be done through the e-Sakshi platform. Clear? So the upgraded dashboard now provides the additional information which includes the work which has been recommended, the work which has been sanctioned, the work which has been completed, the expenditure on completed and ongoing works, the amount consented for the calamity. So all these things are basically there. A new provision allows the Member of Parliament to upload photographs of the completed work through their login to ensure updated and accurate visual records. So they can also upload the photograph that okay, this work has been completed. I'm really happy that you have done this work, right? The district authorities and implementing agencies are also allowed to upload photographs for already completed works. That okay, see this work that you have mentioned, this has already been completed, particularly in the cases where incorrect images were previously uploaded. There are sometimes the incorrect images are also there, right? So to resolve that issue, the district authorities can also upload the images. The improvements aims to enhance the data accuracy, transparency and the public understanding of the MP-led's implementation. Clear, my dear friends? Please tell me in the chat box, are you guys able to understand it? Now moving ahead, the MP-led e-Sakshi web portal was introduced on 1st of April 2023 to manage the revised fund flow procedure under the Member of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme. Now through this portal, the annual entitlement of Member of Parliament under the MP-led is made available via online authorizations at the beginning of each financial year of tenure. Clear? So through the portal, the annual entitlement of the MPs under the MP lad is made available. The total entitlement is available via online authorizations at the beginning of each financial year. The portal provides login access to the stakeholders. To all the stakeholders, this login access will be provided, like Member of Parliament, Central Nodal Agency, State Nodal Authorities, District Authorities, Implementing Agencies, all of them will be getting this login access. Now the MPs will use the portal to recommend eligible developmental works in their constituencies and earmark funds from their annual entitlement. MPs basically use the portal to recommend the eligible developmental works in their constituencies, and they can earmark the funds. Okay, what amount of fund I can allocate to this particular work. The district authorities are responsible for sanctioning and executing the recommended works after conducting feasibility check and assigning implementing agencies. So it's not like they will be blind that okay, MP has said this, so we had to do this. No, they will be checking the feasibility, whether the work is feasible or not, and then only we will be getting the funds for that and we will be executing that work. As per the scheme guidelines, sanctioned works are generally required to be completed within 1 year from the date of sanction. The date on which the work has been sanctioned, we have to complete the work within 1 year. That is a condition here. Are you guys able to understand? Let's try to see. The MP-led e-Sakshi web portal was introduced on the 1st of April 2023 to manage the revised fund flow procedure under the Member of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme. Through the portal, annual entitlement of the Member of Parliament under the MP-led is made available. Right? So everybody able to understand the e-Sakshi portal, Member of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme. Right, my dear friends? Clear to everyone? And it was launched in which year? 2023. This portal was launched on 1st April 2023. Now let's try to answer the question. So the revamped public dashboard of MP-led, which portal? e-Sakshi portal. e-Sakshi portal is there. Improvement has been made to MP-led e-Sakshi portal dashboard to enhance transparency. The public dashboard of the MP-led e-Sakshi portal has been revamped to enhance the transparency and accessibility of information related to the Member of Parliament-led Area Development Scheme. Clear? A new provision allows Member of Parliament to upload photographs of basically allotted works, completed works through their login to ensure updated and accurate visual records. तो completed work का photograph ये यहाँ पर डाल सकते हैं. MP-led e-Sakshi web portal was introduced on 1st April which year? 2023. As per the scheme guidelines, sanctioned works are generally required to be completed within 1 year from the date of sanction. With this, we are done with this news article, my dear friends. Are you guys able to understand? We are just done with this particular news article. We are done with this news article. I hope that everybody of you is able to understand and given me the right answer in the chat box. Clear? Let's move ahead to the next article, 11th Raisina Dialogue held in New Delhi. Now, my dear friends, you must be thinking that what this Raisina Dialogue is all about. Let's take an example that in your family, right, there is a family, right, having the different members, and all the members are having some different problems. All the members are having the different problems, right? Some want some pocket money to purchase a book, some want some pocket money to purchase some grocery items, some want some is having the want the permission to play a cricket game in the next 2 days, some want the permission to go for a trip in the family, some is having X problem, some is having Y problem. So basically your father says that okay, or your mother says that okay, everybody who is having the problem, just assemble on the dining table, right, and we will be discussing all the problems and we will be resolving all the issues, because we are not the individual entities, we are a family. We are not the individual entities, we are the family, and we are interdependent on each other. It's not like that we can only that we are just independent and we are not impacting each other. No, we are interdependent on each other. Right, my dear friends? We are interdependent on each other. So that's why they came to this particular dining table to resolve all their issues together. Similarly, my dear friends, let me tell you that in our, let's take an example, these members, right? Similarly, my dear friend, the world is a family, right? And 110 countries, 110 countries are coming to this dining table together to resolve the different issues that they are facing. It can be any issue, right? And you know who is hosting this particular dining table? India is hosting the dining table. And what is the name of the dining table? It is Raisina Dialogue. Clear, my dear friends? The 11th Raisina Dialogue was held in New Delhi. The 11th edition was held in New Delhi. It is India's flagship conference on the geopolitics and geoeconomics. Is being held in New Delhi from 5th to 7th of March 2026. Now, what is the geopolitics and geoeconomics? My dear friend, geopolitics is related to the power, to the security. For example, what is India's role in the Ukraine-Russia war? How can India impact the war which was taking place between Iran and America, right? So what is the India's position? What is the amount of power India is having to influence the different countries? That is the geopolitics. And what is the geoeconomics? The geoeconomics is basically with the help of the trade, economic relations, trade wars, semiconductor supply chains. So these are the part of the geoeconomics. So we are catering both of them together on the table, on the dining table of Raisina Dialogue. Understanding the point? And this was held in New Delhi. And this year, my dear friends, who was the chief guest? Every year there is a chief guest for the Raisina Dialogue. This year, who is the chief guest? The President of Finland, Dr. Alexander Stubb. Let me tell you, my dear friends, in the previous year of the RBI Grade B officer examination, right? In one of the previous years, we saw a question in the RBI Grade B Phase 2 examination when the chief guest of the Raisina Dialogue was being asked in the examination, right? And when I was sitting in the examination, I was like, who basically asked the chief guest of the Raisina Dialogue in the examination? But somehow I was able to remember that particular information and I basically marked it correctly in the examination, right? But what I want from all of you is that the way I marked it correctly in the examination, I want all of you to ensure that you are also marking the answer correctly in the examination when you will be getting such kind of question. Because in the previous years, we have seen such kind of question in the phase 2 exam of RBI Grade B officer exam. And that's where we need to ensure that yes, we are covering this. Let me tell you that whatever the detail we are providing you here in the document 9, the current affairs chapter, it is having some very good importance. It is having that importance, my dear friends, and that is why we are covering it. So who is the chief guest? Please tell me the right answer in the chat box. Who is the chief guest of the Raisina Dialogue 11th edition taken place in 5th to 7th of March 2026 in New Delhi? That is President of Finland, Dr. Alexander Stubb. Dr. Alexander Stubb is the right answer. The event witnesses participation from the representatives of around 110 countries. We had a representative of around 110 countries. The theme of the 2026 edition is Samskar, Assertion, Accommodation and Advancement. Right? What is the theme? The theme is Samskar, Assertion, Accommodation, Advancement. Assertion means basically every country is coming here and they are basically asserting their interests, right? The problems. Then accommodation. We are able to understand the problem of each other. We are accommodating the problems of each other. Then advancement. We are moving towards the advancement, right? And again, we are having the 6 thematic pillars across which the Raisina Dialogue was being held. What are the 6 pillars? Contested frontiers, power, polarity, periphery, repairing the commons, white whale, 11th hour, Tomorrowland, trade in the time of tariffs. So these are the 6 thematic pillars. Contested frontier, power, polarity, periphery, repairing the commons, new group, new guardians, new avenues, white whale, the pursuit of agenda 2030, 11th hour, climate conflict and cost of delay, Tomorrowland towards a Techtopia. Trade in the time of tariffs, recovery, resilience, and reinvention. My dear friends, I hope this is clear to everyone. I hope this is clear to everyone. So basically we have covered the Resina dialogue. Right? We have covered the Resina dialogue in quite a very detailed manner. Now let's move on to the next news article, and then we will be moving on to the next part of the Drishyam round. Right? So the inaugural edition of the Resina Science Diplomacy Initiative. The inaugural edition of Resina Science Diplomacy Initiative. The inaugural edition of the Resina Science Diplomacy Initiative was held in New Delhi. So we are inaugurating Resina Science Diplomacy. It is jointly launched by the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India and the Observer Research Foundation as a part of the Resina Dialogue. The event focused on the role of science diplomacy in addressing the strategic autonomy and governance challenges related to the disruptive technologies. So we are basically seeing that what is the role of science diplomacy, with the help of which we can address the strategic autonomy of the countries, and we are also governing the challenges which are related to the disruptive technologies which are taking place. And this initiative was chaired by the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. Clear, my dear friends? So who was the chairperson? Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. Now let's try to answer the question, my dear friends, quickly in the chat box. Are you guys ready to answer the question? Please give me the answer in the chat box. Be ready, quick. So 11th Resina Dialogue was held in New Delhi. Absolutely right. 11th edition of Resina Dialogue. It is India's flagship conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics, is being held in India, in New Delhi, from 5th to 7th of March 2026. The Resina Dialogue is India's flagship conference on the geopolitics. Now what was the theme, my dear friends? What was the theme? Samskar, assertion, accommodation, advancement. So just remember Samskara, right? Triple A, S with triple A. Samskar, assertion, accommodation, advancement. And my dear friends, who was the chief guest of the Resina Dialogue this year? President of Finland, Dr. Alexander Stubb. Right? Dr. Alexander Stubb. And the inaugural edition of Resina Science Diplomacy Initiative was also been launched. It was being launched by the Principal Scientific Advisor and the Observer Research Foundation as a part of the Resina Dialogue. It was chaired by Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. Clear, my dear friends? So we are done with the 16 articles of the today's session. Right? We are done with the 16 articles. So I can see here that yes, all the people are able to understand the news article in a very quite detailed manner, right? You are able to understand, cover, revise, retain the information here in the session itself. Now, my dear friends, let's have a small 5-minute water break, and we will be back after 5 minutes. And I want to ensure that yes, everybody is coming back, right? It's just a water break, not a sleep break. Please come back after these 5 minutes. Right now the time is 6:18 in my watch. You have to be back by 6:23 and your time starts now. So my dear friends, please give me a thumbs up in the chat box if you guys are back after the break so that we can resume the session. I want confirmation from all of you to give me a thumbs up in the chat box if you guys are back so that we can start with the session. Everybody back after the break? Please mark your attendance. Everyone, please mark your attendance in the chat box by giving me a thumbs up or give me the evidence of your presence that yes, we are here, so that we can resume the session. Okay, so most of the people have given me the confirmation. Thank you, Ikigai, Harshal, Kavya, Material, Sher, Kashish for giving me the confirmation. Let's move on to the next article. So Niti Aayog and UNICEF India has signed a statement of intent. So my dear friends, Niti Aayog and UNICEF India have signed a statement of intent to strengthen nutrition and health outcomes in the aspirational districts and aspirational blocks. So many times we have discussed about the aspirational districts and aspirational blocks, right? So basically, I don't think that there is a requirement and to again cover the same thing, but yes, this time Niti Aayog and UNICEF India have signed a statement of interest, and what they will be doing, they will be focusing on the aspirational districts and aspirational blocks. On which areas? Nutrition and health outcomes. It will be improving the maternal and child nutrition outcomes in underserved regions through strategic interventions and strengthened implementation system at the block level. Clear? We will be improving the maternal and child nutrition outcomes in the underserved regions. These are the aspirational districts and aspirational blocks. And the UNICEF India, with the help of I4N and platform, that is Impact for Nutrition platform, will provide technical expertise and facilitate engagement with the businesses, public sector enterprises and industry associations to mobilize CSR investments for the nutrition initiatives. Right, my dear friends? So UNICEF India will be taking the help of which group of its, that is the Impact for Nutrition, and it will be engaging with the businesses, public sector enterprises, and these businesses will be providing the funding under the corporate social responsibility for nutritional initiatives. The key focus areas will include strengthening Anganwadi center infrastructure, improving nutrition literacy, increasing uptake of the integrated child development services, building capacity of the frontline workers. So these are the areas on which we will be focusing here. Clear, my dear friends? Niti Aayog and UNICEF India sign a statement of intent. Clear? Let's move on to the next news article. The digital tools and mascots unveiled for the Census 2027. My dear friends, Census 2027 we have already discussed in the very first session of the April 2026. So I want all of you to, if there is someone who has missed that, please watch that session. Census 2027 has been discussed in a very detailed manner, right? Let me tell you that in the month of March, Government of India came up with the mascots. So Ministry of Home Affairs launched 4 digital tools and unveiled the mascots, that is Pragati female and Vikas male, for the Census 2027 in New Delhi. And these Pragati and Vikas will be representing the enumerators who will be going to the houses of the people, right, to see, to do all the work as a part of the Census 2027. So please quickly tell me that what are the name of these mascots. Pragati and Vikas. Pragati is for female and Vikas is for male. More than 30 lakh enumerators, supervisors and other officials will be engaged across the country for the census exercise. 4 digital tools have been launched, including House Listing Block Creator web application, HLO mobile application, self-enumeration portal, census management and monitoring system. So these 4 tools have been launched. The House Listing Block Creator web application uses satellite imagery to digitally create house listing blocks for standardized geographic coverage. The HLO mobile application, it is a secure offline mobile app for enumerators to collect house listing data and transmit it directly to servers. Then there will be self-enumeration portal. It is a secure web-based portal that we have already discussed during the Census 2027 proper comprehensive discussion, when I told you that you will be having the opportunity here to enumerate to self-enumerate by providing your details on this particular portal about your details, your family details, right? And the enumerator will just come and verify the details. That's it. It will ease down the work of the enumerators, and the person who will be basically uploading the details, so he will be having a self enumeration ID as well. Clear everyone? So census 2027 will be conducted in the two phases. Phase 1 is the house listing and housing census. Phase 2 is the population enumeration. So we have discussed all these things in our previous session, right? So I won't be discussing it in a detailed manner again, but let me tell you guys that census will be conducted digitally for the very first time, and there is a option of self enumeration which will be available in 16 languages. So please remember this. It is available in 16 languages. Clear everyone? The dates, the important dates are also been mentioned about the census. So I'm not discussing everything again because we have already covered it very comprehensively from examination point of view. Clear? Let's move on to the next news article. Okay, so before that, let's try to answer these questions. So please tell me here, the Niti Aayog has signed an MOU with the statement of intent with which organization? UNICEF, right? UNICEF India, through the Impact for Nutrition group, will provide technical expertise and facilitate engagement with businesses, public sector enterprises. Now moving ahead, digital tools and mascots unveiled for census 2027. So what are the name of the two mascots? Pragati, which is female, and Vikas, which is male, right? The digital platforms for census 2027 were developed by CDEC, Hyderabad. The mascots Pragati and Vikas represents female and male enumerators, right? Who will be coming, visiting the doorstep of the houses, right? So the remaining questions are basically quite a homework for all of you. Phase 1 and phase 2, what exactly are the two different phases of the census 2027? Now for the first time, census will be conducted digitally with an option of self enumeration. And how many languages it is available? 16 languages it is available. Clear everyone? So we have covered both the articles. Let's move on to the next article. India reiterates commitment to eliminate cervical cancer at WHO headquarters. So my dear friends, India has reiterated its commitment that we want to eliminate cervical cancer, right? Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has reaffirmed India's commitment to eliminating the cervical cancer as a public health problem at World Health Organization headquarters. The Government of India is implementing multi-pronged strategy focused on prevention, screening, early detection and timely treatment to address cervical cancer. Guys, you can see that there are so many people in our country who are impacted due to the cervical cancer, and we want to ensure timely treatment of the same for the people. So we are basically adopting multi-pronged strategy under which we will be focusing on prevention, screening, early detection and the treatment, right? That too timely. Under the National Program for Prevention and the Control of the Non-Communicable Diseases, over 86 million women have been screened for cervical cancer. India supports the WHO Global Strategy to eliminate cervical cancer. What is the WHO Global Strategy? That is 90-70-90 target for 2030. Now what exactly these are? These are 90% of girls vaccinated against HPV, 70% of the women screened for cervical cancer, and 90% of the women with the cervical disease receiving appropriate treatment. So 90% को vaccinate करना है, 70% को screen करना है and 90% को appropriate treatment provide करना है. 90-70-90. The WHO Director General described India's HPV vaccination campaign targeting 12 million adolescent girls as the world's largest free HPV vaccination drive. So my dear friend, this is the free HPV vaccination drive that India has launched, and this is a kind of milestone for the country. So Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has reaffirmed India's commitment to eliminating cervical cancer at the WHO, right? At the WHO we are having this particular part. Clear my dear friends? So at the WHO we are having this particular part, and let me tell you here a very very important part, my dear friends, that under the National Program for Prevention and Control of the Non-Communicable Diseases, Over 86 million women have been screened for the cervical cancer. India has supported the WHO global strategy to eliminate the cervical cancer, which includes 90, 70 and 90 target for the 2030, right? 90, 70 and 90 target for the 2030. I hope this is clear, right? The WHO Director General has described India's HPV vaccination campaign targeting 12 million adolescent girls as the world's largest free HPV vaccination drive. I hope this is clear to everyone. Clear, my dear friends? I hope that this part is clear to everyone. Absolutely right. And 7th April, absolutely mentioned by the Herschel, that 7th April is being celebrated every year as the World Health Organization because in 1948, WHO was established. Clear? Now let's try to answer the question. India reiterates commitment to eliminate cervical cancer at WHO headquarters. The Dash reaffirmed India's commitment. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare reaffirmed India's commitment to eliminating cervical cancer as a public health problem at World Health Organization headquarters. The Government of India is implementing a multi-pronged strategy focused on prevention, screening, early detection and the timely treatment to address this issue, right? And what is the strategy that we are having? The strategy that we are having is 90, 70, 90 targets, right? For year 2030. So I hope that this is clear to everyone. Absolutely right. Now, my dear friends, please quickly tell me that what are these targets all about. So 90% was basically for vaccination of the girls, 70% for screening the women, 90% for the timely treatment of the women. Clear to everyone? So we are done with this news article. Let's move on to the next part. India and European Union agree to grant most favored nation status. My dear friends, we have already covered this article. Right? We won't be covering it again. Moving ahead to the next part. India-Finland joint statement during the state visit of the Finland President. India-Finland joint statement during state visit of Finland President. You all know that Finland President Alexander Stubb was the chief guest of the Resina dialogue which was held in New Delhi, right? And during which we have signed 3 MOUs. One MOU is on the migration and mobility partnership, other one is on environmental cooperation, other one is on the field of statistics. So just remember the key details about the 3 MOUs that we have signed on the mobility partnership, migration and mobility partnership, environmental cooperation and the field of statistics, so that we can have the exchange of experiences, best practices and collaborations in the official statistics. Both countries elevated their bilateral relations to a strategic partnership in digitization and sustainability. Clear? Both of them want to double the bilateral trade by year 2030. A joint working group on digitalization will be established to enhance cooperation in the 5G, 6G quantum communications, high performance and the quantum computing and artificial intelligence. A joint task force on the 6G will promote collaboration between the University of Oulu, Finland and the Bharat 6G Alliance. So joint task force on the 6G will also be there. Clear? And India and Finland are going to co-host the World Circular Economy event, which will be hosted by India only in 2026 by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and the Finnish Innovation Fund, Sitra. Clear, everyone? Let's move on to the next article. I hope this article is quite clear to everyone. Moving ahead to the next article, the nationwide VBG Ramji Youth Digital Campaign has been launched. Right? So the Ministry of Rural Development in collaboration with the My Bharat has launched the nationwide digital campaign VBG Ramji Youth Digital Campaign, which stands for Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rural Employment and Livelihood Mission, VBG Ram Act 2025, which was being passed recently in the month of February. Right? So we will be covering this complete bill in a very detailed manner in the month of February preparation. Clear? Don't worry about it. It will be creating awareness about the Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rural Employment and the Livelihood Mission, VBG Ramji Act 2025. The campaign aims to engage youth between 15 to 29 years through activities promoting a digital mass movement for the rural development. The campaign is guided by the theme Youth Power Progress of the Panchayats. Youth Power Progress of the Panchayats is the theme for the campaign, which encourages the youth participation in the holistic development of the rural India. Right? So, Youth Power Progress of Panchayats. Youth Power Progress of Panchayat is basically the theme for this particular campaign. Now, my dear friends, comes a very, very important revolutionary thing which has been done by the government of India as a part of this act. That is the VBG Ramji Act 2025. You all know Manrega is there, right? Manrega basically ensures the employment of 100 days. But the VBG Ramji Act, here we basically increase the statutory guarantee of wage employment for the rural families, increasing the number of days from 100 to 125 days per financial year, while promoting the inclusive development, empowerment, scheme convergence and the expansion of the rural livelihood opportunities. Clear, my dear friends? Clear to everyone? Everybody clear? Let's try to answer this question. So, India-Finland joint statement during the state visit of Finland President, the Republic of Finland, Dr. Alexander Stubb, has undertook a state visit to India, an invitation of the Prime Minister of India. 11th Regional Dialogue as the chief guest, he was there, and the MOUs were there on the 3 areas. Please quickly tell me in the chat box what are the 3 areas. First MOU is on the migration and mobility partnership, right? Second was on the environmental cooperation. Third was on the MOU on the cooperation in terms of statistics, official statistics. Absolutely right, everyone. The two sides aim to double bilateral trade by 2030. Right? We are having a joint task force on the 6G, Bharat 6G Alliance, and there is a University of Oulu. University of Oulu is there, of the Finland. They have come together for this particular task force. Then we are having the India and Finland will co-host the World Circular Economy Forum in India 2026, organized by the Ministry of Dash and the Finnish Innovations Fund Sitra. So what is it? Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. That is the right answer. Clear, everyone? I hope that you guys are able to understand it, able to answer all these questions. Moving ahead, the nationwide VBG Ramji Youth Digital Campaign has been launched. So please tell me the name of the Dash in collaboration with the My Bharat has launched the nationwide digital campaign. Please quickly tell me the name of this entity which has collaborated with My Bharat. Let me see who will give me the right answer. It is which ministry? So Dash in collaboration with the My Bharat has launched the nationwide digital campaign. What is it? It is the Ministry of Rural Development. Absolutely right. The campaign is guided by the theme. What is the theme of the campaign? That was Youth Power Progress of the Panchayat. Then under the VBG Ramji Act 2025, the number of employment days for the rural families has been increased from 100 days to 125 days. Clear to everyone? Absolutely right. Now, my dear friends, let's move on to the next part, the India's digital public infrastructure. You know that recently we covered the report of the Niti Aayog on the digital public infrastructure. So now the foundation of the India's DPI is the JAM Trinity, that is Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile. Jan Dhan account were been created till now. 57.71 crore accounts have been opened. Then Aadhaar 144 crore plus IDs have been generated in the Aadhaar. Then mobile, that is 125 crore plus mobile connectivity, universal access has been provided to the people. These are the JAM Trinity. Clear? So I will be discussing that part only, guys. The remaining part, see, it is quite easy. Jan Dhan bank accounts, Aadhaar based digital identity, widespread mobile connectivity is there. JAM framework, welfare benefits begin to the directly transfer to the beneficiaries. India has signed DPI cooperation agreement with 24 countries. UPI is presently operational in 8 countries. Very easy information is there. Clear? Let's move on to the next part. The 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. My dear friends, Minister of State for Women and Child Development Savitri Thakur ji has visited New York, US to participate in 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women CSW20 at the United Nations headquarters. Now my dear friends, let's try to understand this with the help of an example. See, earlier we discussed the Resina dialogue wala part, right, where there was a dining table and having so many people having the problems coming together on the dining table. Similarly, there are women in our society, right, in our country, across the world, who are facing some issues. So all the women who are facing XYZ issues, now they are coming to this table to discuss their issues. And what is the name of that table? The name of that table is Commission on the Status of Women at the United Nations headquarters in New York, US, where all these people are coming together and they are discussing the issues of the women. The Commission on the Status of Women is the principal global intergovernmental body dedicated to promoting gender equality and the empowerment of women. India will highlight the initiatives related to women-led development, strengthening access to the justice and ensuring the safety, dignity and empowerment of women and girls. The priority theme of the CSW70 is ensuring and strengthening access to justice for all women and girls. Ensuring and strengthening access to justice for all women and girls. Clear? Ensuring and strengthening access to justice for all women and girls, including by promoting inclusive and equitable legal systems, eliminating discriminatory laws, policies and practices, addressing the structural barriers. That's all. Right, so Commission on the Status of Women is the name of that principal global intergovernmental body which dedicates to promoting gender equality and the empowerment of the women. And these are the people. This is the body, and for this we are basically meeting in the New York, United States. Clear? Now let's move over to the next news article. The government notifies green ammonia and the green methanol standards. My dear friends, you all know that India is basically focusing a lot on the green hydrogen. That's why we are having green hydrogen mission, where we want to achieve the 5 MT of production of the green hydrogen. Right? So the government of India has notified the green ammonia and green methanol standards for India to support the national green hydrogen mission and accelerate the trade in the green hydrogen derivatives. My dear friends, let me tell you that it is very, very difficult to store the green hydrogen. Right? So what we do is we make some derivatives which are easy to store, which are easy to transfer, which are easy to transport. Right? And that is why we create these derivatives. So we are storing the green hydrogen in the form of green ammonia and green methanol. But for that we must be having some standards, and that's why the standards have been launched. We are doing this to provide regulatory clarity for industry and investors, facilitating decarbonization in the sectors such as fertilizers, shipping, power and heavy industries, and strengthen India's position as a producer and exporter of green fuels. The standards were issued by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and define emission thresholds and eligibility conditions for classifying ammonia and methanol as green. So what we have done, we have classified ammonia and methanol as the green, but only they will be called green if they are produced using the green hydrogen derived from the renewable sources. So we are using the green hydrogen. When is the hydrogen basically called green? When it is produced from the renewable sources, right? And when the ammonia and methanol is called green, when it is being produced using the green hydrogen. So this is a cycle. So there is a green ammonia standard. The total non-biogenic greenhouse gas emissions from hydrogen production, ammonia synthesis, purification, compression and on-site storage must not be more than 0.38 kilogram of carbon dioxide equivalent per kg of the ammonia. See my dear friends, the biogenic greenhouse gas emissions. So it should be less than 0.38 kilogram carbon dioxide equivalent. Similarly, in terms of the methanol standard, it should be, the emission should not be more than 0.44 kilogram carbon dioxide equivalent per kg of methanol. Right? So these are the standards that have been created. 0.38 for the ammonia, 0.44 for the methanol. That's it. For the green methanol production, carbon dioxide may be sourced from biogenic sources, direct air capture, or the existing industrial sources. Renewable energy used in the production may include electricity generated from the renewable sources stored in energy storage systems or banked with the grid. Now guys comes the National Green Hydrogen Mission. National Green Hydrogen Mission was launched in 2023 to make India a global hub for the production, utilization and export of green hydrogen and its derivatives. The implementation was done by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy with the support from other ministries and industry stakeholders. The outlay of the same was, the initial outlay was 19,744 crores, whereas 17,490 crore for the strategic intervention of green hydrogen transition program, 1,466 crore for the pilot projects, 400 crore for the R&D, 388 crore towards the other mission components. Clear? 388 crore towards the other mission components. So the green hydrogen refers to hydrogen produced using the renewable energy sources such as solar and wind through the process of electrolysis of water. Right? The mission targets production capacity of at least 5 million metric tons of the green hydrogen per year by 2030. So by 2030 we must be having the 5 million metric tons of the green hydrogen by 2030 under the green hydrogen mission, which was launched in 2023 by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy with the allocation of 19,744 crores. Clear everyone? The rest of them are some of the commitments that I want all of you to read on your own. There is only some theoretical part guys, right? Less probability to be asked any question from this part. I hope this part is clear to everyone. So are you guys ready to give me the answers in the chat box? Are you guys ready to give me the answer in the chat box? Be quick, be quick, be quick. Please give me the answer in the chat box. Let's start. India's digital public infrastructure is having the Jam Trinity. What is the Jam Trinity? Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile access. Absolutely right. 57.71 crore of the Jan Dhan accounts created. 144 crore plus people given Aadhaar cards. 125 crore plus mobile connectivity universal access is being given. Now coming to the 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. So Savitri Thakur will be visiting which place? New York, to participate in the 70th session. What is the theme? The theme is basically a homework for all of you. Please ensure that you will be telling me the theme of this in the comment section after the session. Now moving ahead, the government notifies green ammonia and green methanol standards. So it is basically supporting the green hydrogen mission, right? The standards were issued by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and define emission thresholds and eligibility conditions for classifying ammonia and methanol as green, produced using green hydrogen derived from renewable sources. Now my dear friends, what are the standards for the ammonia? How much carbon dioxide equivalent kilogram is being authorized? 0.38 kg carbon dioxide equivalent, and for the methanol standard it is 0.44 kilogram carbon dioxide equivalent per kg of methanol. Absolutely right. Now please tell me, the green hydrogen mission was been launched in 2023, right? Implementation is led by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. The outlay was 19,744 crore rupees. The mission targets production capacity of at least 5 million metric tons of green hydrogen per year by 2030. My dear friends, are you guys able to answer all these questions in the chat box? Please give me a thumbs up in the chat box. Please show some energy in the chat box. Are you guys able to cover all these information? Are you guys able to tell me the answer to all these questions in the chat box in a successful manner? Please tell me in the chat box. Okay, I can see here that yes, everybody is able to do that from the examination point of view. Well done. Well done, my dear friends. And now we are done with the 25 important articles of the phase 1 and 2. We are done with the 25 articles of the phase 1 and 2 of the month of March. Right? Now we will be covering the remaining articles in the tomorrow's session. We will be covering the remaining articles in the tomorrow's session. Okay? Clear to everyone? But I want everybody of you to ensure that after the session you are revising each and everything. See, today you have to revise the 5th of May document also and this document also till these 25 articles, right? I don't want to, overload you, overburden you by, covering each and everything on the single day. So I think this much is quite balanced. You can do that, right? With the proper coverage, revision, retention, right? And solving the MCQs. Now there must be people who will be having the question that, sir, where exactly we will be getting the PDFs? My dear friends, let me show you the PDFs. Where exactly you can see the PDF? Just type chapters.in, chapter with double S, right? Click on courses and you will see that all the categories are there. Then comes the package, and here when you will click on the package, you will see that in the month of March, my dear friends, in the month of March, when you will open the month of March, we have already provided you the 1st to 11th of March PDF. Clear? 1st to 11th of March PDF is there, and all the quizzes are been already uploaded. All the quizzes are been uploaded, right? So right now, today I won't recommend you to attempt the quizzes. You can attempt the quizzes when you are done with when we are done with the whole document, right? But till then, please ensure that you are reading the 1 to 11th of March document till first 25 articles that we have covered in the today's session. Okay, my dear friends, and there is also an important surprise for all of you. So we were taking this and listening this from various aspirants that, sir, we are already having the content and material, right? But we only want the MCQs. Is there any way that we can solve the MCQs? So let me tell you, my dear friends, we are having a test series for you. We are having a solution of the test series for you, right? We are having a current affair test series course. And let me tell you, here we have added a new plan for all of you, as there are so many people who are focusing only on the for the RBI Grade B officer exam, and you want only the MCQs, right? So let me tell you here that we will be providing you the MCQs, and we have added a plan of 3-month plan, right? Earlier we were having 2 plans of 6 months and the 12 months, but now considering your requirement, we have added a 3-month plan which is available at rupees 350. But again, let me tell you that it is only valid for 3 months. That's it. The access will only be for the period of 3 months. Clear, everyone? And this is basically for a short time only we have come up with this particular plan. Clear? Clear, my dear friends? So I hope that this is clear to everyone. And now, my dear friends, I will be meeting you in the next session. If you are having any queries, you are having any anything that you would like to share about the session, you can definitely share that in the comment section. Now let us meet today. Today part is over. Now we will be meeting tomorrow at 8 a.m. in the morning with the new session for the month of May 2026. Till then, stay happy, stay healthy. Wish you all happy learning.